should be a near guaranteed shootout. Kansas City's allowing over 30 points per game, and the total scores of their game this season have been 62, 71, 54, and 72. So while Josh Allen will probably be throwing quite a bit, there are just going to be too many points and yards in this game for us to overlook Moss. And how about this? Moss's 9 carries inside the 10-yard line ranked 3rd in football, and he's only played 3 games. The Bills' offense is just so efficient, and the Chiefs' defense such a sieve, that Moss should be a part of the action no matter what. And he's seen 27 carries and 31 total looks over the last 2 games, of which have both been blowouts, sure, but we're playing this one for the game conditions and not for the Bills' ultra run-heavy approach. It's possible Minnesota will look to bludgeon Detroit on the ground this week, but I think we can expect some high-efficiency passing from Kirk Cousins, which should greatly benefit Adam Thielen. We haven't seen any monster yardage totals from Thielen through 4 weeks, but he's still top 15 among all wide receivers in receptions and 2nd in touchdowns behind only Cooper Kupp. Everyone's been saying for a while now, too, that Thielen can't sustain this touchdown rate, but he's picked up right where he left off at the end of 2020, and he draws the best matchup he'll get all season. The Lions are allowing an astronomical 10.6 yards per attempt and grade out dead last in pass coverage by a mile, according to PFF. Most of Thielen's opportunities are coming on short targets, but he's playing upwards of 100% snaps and has run the 5th most routes in football, so the big games will come. Thielen's 22% target share is pretty strong when you consider Cousins is throwing almost 40 times a game, especially given that 25% of all red zone targets have gone to Thielen. Minnesota's also going to see plenty of opportunities to score on Sunday, so you want to be starting Thielen wherever you can. He'll be even more enticing if Dalvin Cook isn't at full strength, which could lead to more passing near the goal line too. Corey Davis is going to have some bad weeks. That's just what happens when you play for the Jets and with a rookie quarterback, or just when you play for the Jets. But he truly couldn't ask for a better matchup than the one he'll get on Sunday against the Falcons. These 2 cellar dwellers will be squaring off in London in front of an unsuspecting crowd that will likely no longer have any interest in American football once this game is over. But that doesn't mean we can't still see plenty of fantasy production, believe it or not. This matchup against Atlanta is even better for the Jets than facing the Lions, because one of New York's biggest problems has been their inability to protect Wilson, who's taken the 2nd most sacks in the league behind only Ryan Tannehill. Atlanta has the 4th fewest sacks and the 2nd lowest pass rush grade according to PFF. So Wilson could finally have some time to throw. And he'll be throwing against the Falcons secondary that's been carved up for a league worst 11 touchdowns.
Kennedy Brooks, 217 rushing yards.
It's up to $50 or it's up to $100 now, right? PrizePicks?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Nice. Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome in. It is the PrizePicks NFL Week 5 edition of the program here. Myself, as you see, EMac in the house. And as always, each and every week, you should grow accustomed to this, that EMac has dived deep as humanly possible. Head is scraping on the bottom of the pool in the deep end to mine you the best overs, unders on prizepicks.com. Head to prizepicks.com. Use our promo code Awesemo, and we'll match your first deposit up to $100. Good to see Chris. He's in the house producing. Good to see you all out there. Hit that thumbs up button, and, of course, make sure you're subscribed. EMac, what's happening, brother?
Man, it's good. We saw Oklahoma come back here and win improbably, covering 54-48 touchdown as time expired. This is just
3 seconds to go, right?
Yeah,
or is that game officially over?
I think it's ESPN box score says it's over.
Okay,
so
just making sure. You know, those 3 seconds can kill you if you're celebrating somebody returns a touchdown to tie the game up and we go to overtime. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, this is
you're right.
Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. 21-7 or 28-7 it was at the end of the first quarter, Texas.
Ridiculous. Sarkisian's got to be thinking to himself, my goodness. Well, look, perfect time for us because we come on after the climax so far of the day in college football. There's a lot of other stuff happening today, a fight and all the other things that are going on. We've got plenty of content here after us, but for you and I, the focus is on week 5 in the NFL. Prize Picks, always with a couple of interesting numbers, especially as you, myself, and hopefully everybody else out there following along is matching them up to what we have as weekly predictions, which I know is something that you always look at and try to find a nice little window or gap, if you will. So let's start where we normally do with quarterbacks throwing the football.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of their stuff was pretty tight on when I was looking at it this go round. We found some spots to pick. Some of their single game stuff, like for the primetime games, you can make a stand one way or the other. Remember, you want what you think is going to happen. This isn't, if you're not sure about something, that's a stay away. This isn't a low probability GPP. There is no mass multi-entry here. You're playing against whatever line they've set. So you're going against the house. The lines do move for their projections. They have fantasy point projections. They have yardage, catches, all that fun stuff. They've got, let's see, college football, NFL first half. You can get defensive scores. They got NBA, MLB, tennis, soccer, NASCAR, boxing, MMA, futures stuff, cricket, CSGO. I learned it CSGO, not CSGO. I play it.
CSGO, that's huge. But are you playing cricket?
Cricket, no, but CSGO, yes. Not
okay.
DFS version. I've never seen it before, but I know it's a first-person shooter game. But we got all the Awesemo projections that help us get there. So that's the key thing. So looking at this, setting that stage, we have Sam Darnold going against your Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
264 and a hook on his passing yards. Awesemo has him projected for 270.3. Now, I like this one, particularly if McCaffrey's going to be out, and I think he's trending towards doubtful. Was the last I saw. So I'm guessing he doesn't get in there. But the interesting thing about Philly is they have the just horrible 28 rushing DVOA, 22 passing DVOA, but they're only allowing 204 passing yards per game. So I really need McCaffrey to be out because I'm hoping Darnold gets those yardage, if he gets that extra yardage. If McCaffrey's in, because he's gone over 300 3 of his 4 games. If McCaffrey's in, that kind of sours it a little bit, just because perhaps they don't need to go there. So that's one. And then Justin Herbert's the other one I have here. So I'm curious on your thoughts. So I'm actually saying we should go under Herbert.
Darnold.
Yeah. No. On Herbert. Yeah. Darnold is over the 264. Herbert is at 289 and a half. Awesemo has him projected for right around 270, so kind of the same as Darnold. But Cleveland's DVOA is first against the run, 13th against the pass. They're allowing just 133 passing yards per game. I feel like a 289 is a pretty big number here. I'd like to go under. Now, we always look at the overs first, then we look for some ridiculous unders. There weren't really any of those with the passing yards. So these were the two I landed on. And passing yards, I think, is one of the best ones to do because the projections are going to vary. There are easy ways for them to go wildly over. And if you have a good baseline, then that's a more attainable thing. So we're all about the probabilities here in what we're doing. It's harder to go under in a lot of these cases, but I think that's a lofty total there for Justin Herbert. So I wanted to point that out because we haven't done very many unders on the shows here.
That's a good idea. And I think especially the angle with Herbert going up against that defense, it's a high number, 290, 291. They come off that big game on prime time. It would just speak to, I think, reason that, and not to say that they don't win this game. They were initially opening up on the look ahead. Now that was Sunday before their Monday night game as home dogs and clearly have been bet into a favorite. So I think that they can still win. They could probably still beat Cleveland handedly without him going for 290, 300 yards. So I like that because it is just a big number for Herbert to get to, and you have that letdown factor. I love going over with Darnold because if you look at the DVOA that you point out with the Eagles and their passing, but only allowing those passing yards per game at 204, I would bet that it's trending in the wrong direction for their defense, meaning the last 2 games that they had out, Dallas and then Kansas City, versus the first 2 games where Matt Ryan just didn't even show up to play football and Jimmy Garoppolo didn't show up for the first half to play football. So that's where I think Darnold can sneak in with a low number here, and we can get some advantage going over that because of the last two contests for the Eagles. They've allowed any Mahomes and Prescott to do whatever the hell they want in the air. So I love going over there.
Yeah. So those I think are good ones. If we move into the rushing yards, we have Derrick Henry, of course. Last week feels like a year ago. I think their projection was like 104 for him. I think Awesemo had him at like 115 against Jacksonville. We do know that Julio Jones is out. We know that AJ Brown is back, but there's 114 line here. Awesemo is projecting Derrick Henry for 125 rushing yards.
Wow, that's ridiculous, isn't it? And he probably crushes it.
And I'm saying take the over. Now, Jacksonville's DVOA 14 against the rush, 32 against the pass. But we know that after they mucked it up there in New York yesterday, crushing the hopes and dreams of my survivor pick, I don't think that Tennessee is looking beyond anybody at this point, particularly on the road again in Jacksonville. So Jacksonville's allowing 106 rushing yards per game, but Derrick Henry, we could see him approach 25, 27 carries. I like this one on the over. It'll be close, but I think he'll get there.
Yeah, it's a gigantic number. I think that's what it may scare people off if they're not using our own projections like you brought up, and if they're not looking at it maybe a little deeper. That's a gigantic number, but you're right. I mean, it's Jacksonville, the game setting of it. He's 2 big runs away, really 1.5 big runs away from hitting like 75% of that total anyway, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're probably going to be waiting around till middle of the fourth quarter, but at some point he will break a 30 or 40 yarder, and that'll be the thing that pushes us there. So I like that one. The Laviska Shenault, he's kind of a stay away. He's at 2.5 yards, which says, oh, that's a gimme. They try to get him the ball all sorts of ways. Well, he's had 3 carries, 1 in 3 of the 4 games. He has gone for 9 yards, 0 yards, and 11 yards. This is one of those sweat bets, if you will. You're hoping he doesn't touch the ball. I don't think we need to go there, but that was, I noticed that PrizePicks has put up some kind of fun ones like this that you really start to make you think. And that's one of those where what's pushing me to just stay away from it. I'm not ready to take the under, but what stay away from it is Laviska Shenault. They're down a wide receiver. Maybe they want him to just focus on that and not screw around with contact by the line. Just saying.
No, that came out actually that he was the specific name that was referenced as far as being more involved in the passing game this week. So that, and also look, let me just say this, because I was crunching a bunch of lineups on our fantasy cruncher combined with our projections yesterday, and I noticed that we have James Robinson for this week in DFS pretty high. Like, he's one of the top running backs as far as projected outcome, pardon me. So that I think should factor in as well, where it's not just an easy, 2.5. If James Robinson is out there and living up to those projections, he's going to be a carry monster. So I think that's another factor why you'd stay away at the very least from Shenault.
All right, Damian Williams, the next one. We're going to talk about him a lot. We being Awesemo, we being the DFS community in general. He is taking over for Montgomery, who's going to be out for at least 4 or 5 weeks. They put him on the injured reserve. I can't remember how many weeks his prognosis is now, but they have Damian Williams at 58.5 rushing yards. I think this is going to tick up. We have him projected for 69.2. The Vegas DVOA is 18th against the rush, 16th against the pass. They're allowing 130 rushing yards per game. I really like this one for Damian Williams. Nick Chubb, I've got another under for us here. The whole Cleveland, San Diego, there we go. I knew it would happen. The whole Cleveland, Los Angeles Chargers event. I don't like this. Feels like a slugfest for me. The only thing missing is it's not in the factory of sadness. Is that what they call their state of the factory of sorrow? I can't remember. It's sorrow or sadness, but
it's one of the two, but they work either way.
But Chubb, 87.5 yards. That's a big number. Now the Chargers, I've gone back and forth on this. The Chargers have the 25th rushing DVOA. They're daring people to run against them. They want this. are allowing 139 rushing yards per game, but we're projecting Nick Chubb for just 75.8 yards. I say we can't forget, game script goes a little sideways, or game flow goes a little sideways for them. It's Hunt out there in the backfield quite a bit. It's not quite a split backfield, but 87.5 yards feels like we're going to need 20 carries to get there. I can see enough ways that Chubb doesn't get 20 carries that he doesn't get there for us. We also can remember Nick Chubb scoring 4 touchdowns in the game. So anything's live, but I'm taking the under on this one. And this again, same thing. Austin Eckler is, we have him projected for 63 rushing yards. I think that's a lofty total. That's all Cleveland is allowing per game this year. They have the number 1 rushing DVOA. Eckler is the 50.5 on PrizePicks. I'm willing to take the under on this one.
Really?
To me, it just feels like they're gonna end up, in my opinion, he'll get more passes, or if it's a close game, I just don't see him getting the ball enough to get. It'll be tight, but I'd like the under on this one.
He comes off a huge night.
I'm thinking 40. I'm thinking 40 yards is about where he's going to get rushing. I think he's going to get another 50 or 60 receiving. He's going to have 100 combined yards. I just need them to be more passes. The extension of the running game, if you will, with the short passes.
Okay. Look, I don't think you're right in that 63 where we have him projected, even in that regard, is a high number, let alone the 50.5 that he would have to go under. If I just, there's something about it. Like, his numbers have been low and he's exceeded those from player prop standpoint. So when I saw,
I agreed with the over last week, and it was like this. It was the same number, I believe.
You shocked me today, EMac. Pardon me, going low there, rocking out the unders. What I was going to say, you shocked me on that.
Well, that's okay. I've got some heavy overs here for us as we get into receiving yards.
Yeah, this is like, I'm not used to this. Normally, we're just rolling through overs, and overs are fun, right? Because we're always now. This is a completely different approach here, full on under. I don't mind it, but it's just I was taken a little aback. That's all.
Yeah, and I mean, some of these are going to be maybe you're just playing the afternoon slate. You got to figure out something to do for the Browns and Chargers, right? It's a smaller card. Maybe we're looking at some of these unders. So let's hit the overs because this will be fun. Did you know there's a game in London? This game starts at 9:30 Eastern.
Yes, I do. Yes.
There are 2 people that did not get on the plane. That's Ridley and Justin. I said Justin Gage. Every time I go Justin Gage. He's former Tennessee wide receiver, Justin Gage.
I think that's my fault, though. Didn't I say Justin Gage like the first show and ever since?
I don't remember. It's Russell Gage, though, I believe.
It is Russell Gage, yeah. Not Russell Crowe.
No.
Russell Gage. I don't want you saying Russell Crowe now next week.
And it's Derrick Henry, not Travis Henry. I do Travis Henry a lot. Even wrote him up in my article. Nolan reached out to me. You called him Travis Henry like 5. I'm like, they both played for Tennessee. I'm sorry.
Chris is right, by the way. I called him Justin Gage yesterday on the fantasy show. Now, I didn't even realize that. Chris clearly picked it up, but to be fair, neither did Savoca or Laffy, because they didn't call me out on it, and they call me out on everything. So I think it just slid under. I guarantee you, unless you bring it up, people will probably not even notice. He hasn't even played this year. We could call him whatever the hell we want, EMac.
Absolutely. But this leaves last man standing, Olamides Zacchaeus.
Love it. Yes.
Who is 30 point. This one's going to move. So you're going to need to sign up for this one today over there on PrizePicks. Use the promo code Awesemo. They'll give you $100, match you in that deposit bonus up to 100, and that'll come out of your account first. But take the over. We're projecting him for 59 passing yards. They have him at 34.5. We have Quintus Cephas, different game, of course, but unique names that stand out with those receivers. Detroit at Minnesota. We've got 30. Their PrizePicks has 37.5 receiving yards for Quintus Cephas. We have 47. I like that one. We don't know, is Hawkinson banged up? He says his knee's sore. It's not. It's because he's taken repeated hits to the knee. It's not like a internal injury is not the right word, but in any event, he's not at 100%. So he may not play in this one. Regardless, I think that 37.5, we can see Cephas go over that. And then DJ Moore, loved him on every prop he had last time. Love him this time. He's our number 1 wide receiver. He's the only receiver we're projecting for more than 100 yards. We have just over 100. PrizePicks has him 89.5. but I like this one. I think he is now taking clear steps ahead of Robbie Anderson. I thought their production was going to be reversed. It does not seem to be the case. It's a long season. Robbie Anderson will have big games, but DJ Moore has just been phenomenal. He had 2 touchdowns last week. That was a lot of fun. So there's our receiving ones. Any likes, any dislikes? That's a big number to get there for Moore, but against that secondary.
You know what's interesting of those 3, and look, it's all comparative to what each one is as far as their total is. So I don't look at Moore's number and say, oh, wow, it dominates, Cephas or Zacchaeus, and therefore, it's harder to get to. It's all based on expectation as well. I have the least amount of concern of all your plays in the receiving area, EMac. I have the least amount of concerns with DJ Moore because you're right. Eagles can't stop the run. They have one guy, maybe 1.5 guys in the secondary in Slay and maybe like a half of another body. And he's not even going to be on Moore the entire game. Moore is going to be, and Darnold, we already went over on the passing yards. Robbie Anderson is going to disappear. I think that's a great play. I love Moore going over 90 yards, really, to hit that minimum 89.5. The only one I'm concerned about just in general is anybody involved in the London game. Mm-hmm. And only because of what we've seen with Thursday night games, those short turnarounds, I just feel like it's going to be a lower scoring game. But here's the thing. I wouldn't go against your play because of sheer volume. You can't ignore the fact that OZ, the rookie, is going to get all of the looks that are now vacated by Calvin Ridley and Gage, at least like 80% of those looks. So as reluctant as I would be, I'm going to tail that one as well.
Yeah, that one looks pretty good. And then that brings us into the fantasy points. So we'll run through those. I see Carlos Manzo is mentioning in chat. He said they were high on Chenault in the last episode. I like him. I think he's fantastic. I'm just saying don't screw around with the 2.5 rushing yards. That's a stay away. I'm worried he doesn't get a carry. So that's the hard part here.
And we talked about James Robinson. We also talked about earlier, EMac, just to recap for people who are coming in on Chenault. We also talked about, as you brought up, how there's a vocal emphasis this week to get him more involved, him specifically more involved in the passing game. So those things would factor into, at the very least, staying away.
All right, running through our last couple here. Some guys to call out. Dalvin Cook at Detroit. Versus Detroit. Detroit's just horrible. Cook needs 16.5. Now, this is full PPR. There are no yardage bonuses, but Cook is at 16 points. We have him for 18.7. He's supposedly healthy. This seems like a nice get right spot. We're hoping for, 80 or 90 yards. We really need the touchdown and a couple catches, but that gets us there because he can contribute across the board. Tim Patrick, I believe that is an afternoon game, sort of the afternoon special here. 10 full PPR points is the benchmark. We have him for 12.4. I do like the over on that one. A receiver like him, if he scores, he's gonna hit that, but he could do it with 5 catches and 50 yards. So he's in play the entire game to get 10 fantasy points. Leonard Fournette is an interesting one. He's going to be in Miami. We saw him get 20 carries in that Monday night game. Yeah, weather played a little bit, but he definitely looked like the guy at the moment.
Passing game too.
Exactly. So I think we see 3 or 4 targets. I think we see approaching 20 carries. So we're looking 20 to 25 touches. I think he can get the 13.6 fantasy points there, especially the PPR. If he goes 3 for 30, like is kind of his little baseline, you're halfway there. And that's
one touchdown, he's over that. That's really, it's not everybody you can make that argument with clearly today, EMac, but really with Fournette, you get 1 touchdown and you'll clearly pass that number.
Right. So I've got Sam Darnold.
Yep.
This is where I like the over. Now, he does have 5 rushing touchdowns, but he has gone. So some of those, mathematically, 2 or 3 of those probably could have been passing touchdowns under the right circumstances. And then all of a sudden you're looking at multiple 300-yard games with multiple touchdowns from the passing side. So I'm just saying, take out those 6 points, turn those into I believe it's 4 on this, and you're still reasonably getting there for 20 0.5 against Philly. Again, really need McCaffrey to be out, but he's trending to be out. And then another afternoon special. We never know what to do with him. But Derek Carr, 8 of his last 11 games has gone over 20 fantasy points. He's at 20, hosting Chicago. We have him for 23.8. So I think that one's interesting. I got a super chat here right now. They ask you to say $1 million.
Me?
Yes, with your pinky.
How much?
Dr.
did
Evil
they put
style. They put in $1 million.
My chat's down here, unfortunately.
You got
so
it. Can you do the Dr. Evil 1 million?
Well, how much was the super chat?
It was for $1 million.
Yeah, but we didn't get $1 million.
Well, we're going to if you do that.
No, I need some sort of binding statement about how much I can recoup from a super chat if I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, somewhere Eric Lindquist is shaking his head like, I've put costumes on for less than this. What is going on? Do I really need to degrade myself in order for the super chat? Can we get a certain? How about this? Can we get a certain amount of
$5? It's a $5 super chat.
I can't do a Dr. Evil though. I can do like Christopher Walken. I have a look.
You're hurting my feelings here.
Okay. $1 million.
No, but you got to put the pinky up. You got to do it. It's the visual.
Like
the visual. You know how he holds it right. No, on his lip. Look at me.
Like,
no. 1 million.
Like
have you not seen this?
No, Dr. Evil. I don't remember. I saw it once, and then I was out on that shit. $1 million. Is that it?
There we go.
Okay.
But your mic was in the way. Try it with the other hand. Try it with
1 million. Is it? Do I need
yes.
the thumb out?
No thumb.
Like just, it's a phone call.
No.
Give me $1 million or the kid's dead. Like some sort of ransom call or what?
Put that thumb down.
Thumb down. Okay.
Yes, right there. $1 million.
I'm sure PrizePicks is loving this. $1 million. We're paying for this crap. Get that Shander guy out of here. See, you're gonna be hosting a show with Ehrenberg next week.
There you go. $5 super chat. That was
Thank you.
That was from me to you. Somebody screen capture that. We got to get that on Twitter. We're gonna.
I'm sure Chris has it somewhere. Yes. There you go. There you go. I love it, man. Oh, that's beautiful. And here's the thing. Not only did I embarrass myself for you in the super chat out there, but EMac has made you some money as well. So if you would like to repay us, just hit that thumbs up. And of course, make sure you're subscribed. We should remind you too that we have a really cool offer here. Sign up at prizepicks.com. Use our promo code Awesemo, AWESCMO, and we'll match your first deposit up to $100. Of course, I've seen that movie. I'm just having fun back with you. That's all. I'll tell you, the best Mike Myers movie ever is So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Oh, God, I knew you were going to say that.
The range on that movie with him and the characters he plays is unmatched. He's
incredibly talented. He was one of my favorite guys. The Wayne's World was as absurd as this was. I love
the stuff he created in his head. Like, can you imagine how eccentric and weird and annoying and hilarious he must have been as a kid, coming up with all these ideas that everybody's been like, that's never going to be funny. Yeah. And then here he is, like, just amazing.
Simply phenomenal. Simply phenomenal.
All right, my friend. I think we've done enough damage all around. Yes. I love the car over, by the way, especially since Chicago's on the road, and that's 20 points.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites that you threw out there with the fantasy points. Just
and don't forget that London game. There's a gimme in there with Olamide's
OZ. I love that you went full pronunciation too, and not just OZ like me. That's an easy one too, like OZ the rookie. There you go. All right, thanks again. We appreciate you hanging with us. Thanks to Chris for producing. We'll be back next week, week 6 next week here with PrizePicks.com. Have a great weekend.